The budget on this film was 11 million, box office 113 million. Again, good numbers. This movie, I would say I would give I feel that this movie deserves about a 9. I can give it that because I think the second movie I gave around a 9.5. I know I gave the first one for sure a perfect 10. And the ratings for this one I think are most of it I think is a little unfair, but again, that's my biased opinion. So between Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes, Movie Database, and Google, we have scores of 52, 57, 61, and 78, respectively. This movie, by the way, is available to watch on Max. Of course, I have them all on YouTube, because that's just me. I buy all my movies digitally, a lot of them. When teenager Quinn Brenner senses that her late mother is trying to contact her, she seeks help from gifted psychic Elise Rainier. However, Elise's tragic past makes her reluctant to use her abilities. After Quinn is attacked by a malevolent entity, her father pleads with Elise for help. With support from two parapsychologists, Elise ventures deep into the further, where she finds a powerful demon with an insatiable craving for human souls. The movie came out in 2015. Of course, the screenplay was by Leigh Whannell, who reprised his role as Specs. You have Angus Sampson reprise his role as Tucker. And then you have, of course, Lynn Shaye reprised her role as Elise Rainier. Now, this movie doesn't have Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne, who played Josh and Renee in the first two movies. And they were also in the fifth movie and a little bit of the fourth, which I'll get to later. Dermot Mulroney actually was in this movie, and he played Sean Brenner. His daughter, Quinn Brenner, was played by Stefanie Scott, and her friend Maggie was played by Hayley Kiyoko. And Joseph Bashara played the lipstick demon. Now, let's get to how Common Sense Media breaks it down, and again, of course, I'll give my take. This time around, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Set before the events of the first two movies, this movie begins as Quinn Brenner seeks the help of psychic Elise Rainier. Quinn wants to contact her deceased mother, but Elise has quit the psychic business and afraid she's gone too far and that she's in danger. Meanwhile, things with Quinn go from bad to worse. She's run over by a car and must now recover with both her legs in casts. Plus, it seems that a malevolent demon is after her. Quinn's father, at his wit's end, decides to hire paranormal investigators, Tucker and Specs. But with time running out, Elise decides she's actually the one who can help. Now, before I get to, is the movie any good? Are there any positive messages in the movie? Family members stick together, helping one another out in a time of need. Other characters put themselves at personal risk to help strangers. Kind of a good move there. As far as the violence, plenty of scary stuff, mostly jump shocks with screaming demons. A girl is hit by a car, bruises and blood shown, wearing casts on both legs. She's roughed up, thrown from her bed. A woman attacks a demon with a razor, all that type of stuff. Kids giving reviews, what the heck? This time around, now is it good? This time around, screenwriter Whannell assumes the helm of horror series he helped create. Fortunately, he takes several cues from directing predecessor James Wan. He focuses on character interactions, well-defined space, and intriguing use of rhythm and timing, as well as a spooky musical score. On the downside, like the second movie, this movie doesn't have much new to offer, and virtually all of the scares are of the jump shock variety, with monsters appearing suddenly and frequently shrieking as well. But Whannell at least tries to mix up the timing of the shocks, delaying and subverting the expected, which was actually very well done in this movie, and all the movies if you ask me. He also creates a very Lynchian version of The Further, with nightmarish imagery that can cause just as many tingles. And his characters are sympathetic and easy to like, with Shaye, Lynn Shaye, especially powerful and touching in her role. Now, talk to your kids about. Of course, again, I keep saying this in all my videos, like these type of movies are not for kids, so no, I would suggest parents do not talk to your kids about movies like this, but people can talk about this. How scary is the movie? What's the appeal of horror movies? Are gory horror movies more or less scary than those with less blood? I would say, for the most part, I think that movies like Insidious actually are more scarier and are more, I don't want to say just attention grabbing, but as far as keeping the heart racing, I think they do a better job at that than a lot of the typical slashers that I talk about. Because one, like they said earlier, the timing, you can't really time it as far as the jump scares. With the slashers, you at least know when they're coming. You know when Jason Voorhees is coming because he has that music that plays with him. You know, Freddy Krueger, you know when he's coming because somebody fell asleep. Michael Myers, he has a music comes with him. Ghostface, usually calls somebody on the phone. As far as some of the others like that, it's very similar. With these type of movies, I would say the more and more that I watch movies like this, it's slightly less scary in the sense that I kind of know what to expect in general. But for the most part, I would say in my humble opinion, I think that Insidious, outside of the slashers, is probably the scariest movie series that I've seen. And this is something that I do like to watch at night because it just intensifies the thrill and the suspense. You're watching it at night, it's dark, a lot of the movie's dark. So how does this movie compare to its predecessors? How does it work as a prequel? I think it worked out just fine. Usually I'm not the biggest fan of when movies do that. It's like, hey, you have two movies and then the next one is a prequel instead of a sequel. Usually I like to kind of see it like in order, which so far I think movies like Scream have done a great job of doing that. Some of the characters seem obsessed with technology. Does that seem realistic? The main character takes pictures of her breakfast for her blog. Me personally, I think that's doing a bit much, but I mean, hey, whatever, do what you do. Families can talk about the violence in this movie, how much is shown, is there a real threat, what's the impact of media violence on kids. All I can say is it just scares the living hell out of them. That's why they shouldn't watch it. There's a reason I didn't watch this stuff when I was a kid. And I mean, of course, Insidious wasn't around when I was a kid, but anything that's like that, I would not have been allowed to see. And for my sake, it's probably a good thing. Overall, like I said, I give the movie a 9. It's available to watch on Max. I suggest checking it out in case you haven't seen it. Like and subscribe. I will be talking about more movies. I got the 4th movie coming up soon.